Hi there, Alex Kidman with my video review of Moving Out, a new Australian-developed game from SMG Studios, published by Team 17. And just to get it out of the way early, I'm reviewing a copy the publisher has provided me. Make of that what you will. Now, actual moving house in the real world is super stressful, kind of boring because you've just got to do all this packing and moving and you worry about stuff breaking. And of course, that's not what this game is about, as you can probably guess from the visuals. This is a more knockabout, multiplayer couch co-op game, very similar in tone and style to a certain extent to games like Overcooked, for example, but with that central idea that you are working as a removalist in the fictional town of Packmore. So what's like about this particular game? Well, look, the primary focus is on that multiplayer appeal. It's got that kind of slippy physics thing happening, which should be frustrating, but mostly isn't. And in theory, what you're meant to do, of course, is organise with up to 4 players to carefully move the goods out of each house as quickly as possible, forming chains of people and stuff like that. But let's face it, this almost never happens. Chaos descends, and that's all part of the glorious fun, because while you do want to help your co-op buddies, you also sort of want to slap them upside the head sometimes. And look, this game actually has a slap button, so you can do that. But that chaos descending is part of the fun, because you are always working against a ticking clock, and there is a bunch of secret hidden objectives in each level, which you never find out until you've tried each level at least once. It's really nicely balanced as well. If you have players who are struggling a bit more, there are assist modes to give you more time or to clear the truck, because a big part of the challenge is not just, hey, can we get all this stuff out of the house? It's also, how do we fit it? How do we Tetris it all onto the truck in time? And you can set it so that the stuff that goes on the truck just vanishes, for example. There's no penalty to doing this, which I actually like. Yes, it does mean if you want to rip raw through this game super quickly, you basically can do it. But the point there is more to make it more inclusive for more players, and I think that's a really, really neat step. There's also a lot of creativity in here, and there's lots of little in-jokes as well. So there are levels which are absolute pastiches of Frogger, for example. And that's quite deliberate. There's even a secret goal there to help a frog get across the road and across the water. I've never understood why frogs couldn't swim, but I'm getting beside myself there. What I'm also really impressed with in this game is the single player, because so often in these games, and I'll use Overcooked as a good example here, single player is there, but it's either the super hard mode or it just plain doesn't work. Instead, in Moving Out, there's quite a different game to play here. It's a little bit more contemplative because you can't do things like pitch large pieces of furniture out the window because you can't get people at both ends. There's only one of you after all. But to compensate for that, the furniture is a little bit lighter and the objectives are a bit lower, so it becomes this really interesting, quite challenging puzzle game. So for example, here I'm trying desperately to meet a specific objective, which is not to break any windows, which means I can't throw things out the windows, that will shatter them, and the windows in this town are all made of sugar glass for some reason. I have to drag them the long way, and that creates a lot of fun in just single player. Is this a game that you're going to play for hours and hours and hours on end? No, probably not, because that chaotic nature, of course, means that it is one of those games that can lead to raised voices in the family, can lead to a few sore feelings. I think it's one of those games that's best played just a couple of levels at a time, but it's pretty much one of those games that anyone can pick up and play, which is great. It's a game that's got a really solid single-player base as well, which is even better. And I really enjoyed it, my family's really enjoyed it, and it comes highly recommended. Anyway, that's my take on Moving Out. Have you played it? Do you have thoughts on it or games you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.